Wonderful. So let me put this back on speaker view, and let me see. We have about half an hour for questions and answers, if that's okay.
Okay.
And so we did have many in chat. Let me see. And we had some stuff about the slideshow. Todd had a question in Russian that he translated. So Todd, I am stuck there. Let me go to Charlie first, though. Charlie has his hand raised. And again,
Charlie.
And again, guys, you can use Option Y on Mac or Alt Y on Windows to raise your hand. Okay, Charlie, go for it, sir.
All right, thank you. Yeah, great presentation. We have a member from Falcon Space, Tran Nam, that was working on your Frolov hat, and he reproduced it based off the John Louis Nudan description of it. And we saw some results on a mechanical scale. It lost weight. We're wondering if you ever tested it in a vacuum. My first question.
I cannot understand the question. I see that you try to experiment with a capacitor, but I don't see the design of this capacitor. Maybe you will send email to me with a more quality diagram. Where is this central electrode?
Center electrode here in this dielectric.
Excuse me, but I think you use a wrong idea. It is a wrong idea because you have discharge between central electrode and periphery. It should be made from one solid state dielectric.
Okay.
One solid state, but you connected a flat disk and some cylinder. It is connected, I think. Yeah. It is wrong.
They're separate. Yeah. So this metal part, this ring is from the center electrode. Yeah, separate.
The dielectric in this device should be about what's the voltage? Voltage for this? 10 kilovolts, 50 kilovolts. What is the voltage?
Between like 20 to 50 kilovolts. Yeah.
20 or 50?
High voltage.
20 or 50 is about 2 centimeter distance you need, and the distance between your electrodes is very small. So we can continue our consulting for you by email. Okay. Take my email or visit my website.
Okay. Yep, I know your website.
I remember family of author from Greenyer, from Europe, Zoltan, and he made a successful experiment with this type of capacitor. But it is better to use other capacitor with T shape. It is simple to get dielectric between two rods, so two cylinders, electrodes, two cylinders, and the wall between them. You get more effects.
Okay, great, thank you. And you mentioned ignitive is cross-shaped Tesla coils. I saw your article on your web page. Did you have more description of how it was assembled?
Yes, of course. You can find a publication by me, by Jean-Louis Noda. Jean-Louis Noda also reproduced. Do you know Jean-Louis Noda? No?
Yep, I see his website. Yep, I know.
Do you know Jean-Louis Noda? It is an inventor from French.
Yeah,
no?
I've never met him in person or never contacted him, but I know his website. Yeah.
Please try to find.
Yep, John Louis Nudan. Yeah.
Yeah, he made a great experiments with Jean-Louis Noda. Okay. And the description of his device is very good, detailized. You can understand how to build it. But really, it is not very perspective for commercial application. Try to get more effect with two different dielectric, just to take one dielectric plate, another dielectric plates connected at a different permittivity. For example, for this dielectric permittivity equal to 8. For this dielectric permittivity equal to 30, for example. 30 and 8. The dielectric are different, connected, and then to put two plates of electrodes. Understand? It's simple.
Yep.
And then to connect the voltage and test effect. It should will provide force. And then when you see small force, for example, 1 milligram force, you can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 similar devices. Join in one block. You'll get 10 gram force. Understand?
Yep.
It's simple.
Thanks.
That's all.
Okay.
I am
Wonderful.
not sure
Okay.
that Frolov's hat is not interesting. It is better to work with two different dielectrics. Look at my slide. It's very simple idea. And the textbook, it's textbook's understanding very simple. The force between two different dielectric provide propulsion force in the direction of maximum permittivity. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Okay, so let me see who has a question next. I think Rob Chambers had a question about, let me see. He was asking about Grubenikov's cavity structure effect. Rob, you want to go?
Maybe you can use chat.
Oh, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And guys,
Because,
actually, if you do want to enter questions in chat, that would be helpful. Because again, it's a little easier there. Let me go to Wayne. Wayne, go for it, sir.
Yeah, hi. Just regarding the capacitor you were just talking about, do you think if you encase the whole thing in resin so that the plates didn't make no contact with the air, so there's no ionization, would that still provide a force? That's my question.
please,
Does that make
chat.
sense?
Please use chat. Okay.
Okay, I'll type that in. He's asking if you encase the plates in resin.
Excuse me, I don't see message.
Oh, I'm still typing it. So there is no
Okay.
air contact.
Okay, Timothy will help to understand the question.
There. Okay, sorry.
Okay, he's asking if you encase the plates in resin.
Resin, like liquid plastic,
Yes.
plastic insulator, dielectric, so there's no leak.
Yes, I understand. I understand. What device? What type of device you discussing? What type of capacitor? I think it is a question about some capacitor, yeah, asymmetrical capacitor.
Two different dielectrics. As
Two
you were just
two different dielectrics. Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
In two different dielectrics, there is no ionization, of course, because the design consists of one metal plate. It is electrode of capacitor. Then we have two dielectrics inside, and outside you can cover off all this device cover with dielectric resin of solid dielectric, of liquid dielectric. It should work, of course. You can cover all this device with some dielectric inside of this block, inside of this box. You must provide electricity to electrodes, and between electrodes, between flat electrodes, you will have effect on the board between two dielectrics. It will work, of course. It's okay.
Thank you.
No?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Wayne. Let me lower your hand there.
Possible.
Excuse me. Let me go to Harold Tavares next. Harold, welcome back, sir.
Hello, Harold.
And
thank
just
you.
remember to speak carefully, and we may have to use chat as well.
Okay. My question, thank you for the great presentation. A lot of good information. My question for you is, you speak about the Lorentz forces, be able to create a force on the ether. Why do you think, that approach would work very well? Just the Lorentz force applying interacting with the ether and produce a propulsion force.
You asked about interaction with ether will provide propulsion force, yes? You asked why interaction with ether will provide propulsion force, right?
Yeah, that's what you the question.
Because I understand the ether can be reason to get propulsion force, like we have propulsion force for any gradient. For example, what is a wind? Wind and sail of the boat provide propulsion because it is a gradient. Also, Montgolfier, it's correct in English, Montgolfier. It is Montgolfier demonstrate vertical propulsion force because there is a gradient, and in the ether we can get gradient when we change density of ether. So a lot of my technology described in the book how to organize changes, how to increase density of ether, how to decrease density of ether. And we have a lot of technology for it. Electromagnetic, inertial. Any inertial drive also use the same principle, because inertia, into my mind, and other scientists also speak the same. Inertia is the effect of interaction with ether. It is not inner property of some body, some has mass, but inertia of this mass connected is surrounding ether. We try to move it, it has inertia. So I cannot explain more because to my mind, it is obviously. I understand.
Okay, that means that you're using the ether as a propellant, the ether is functioning as a propellant. Is that what the approach?
No, excuse me, no. The ether is not propellant.
Okay.
We must to create a gradient to increase density of ether, and by this way it will push our device, our spacecraft or device to one direction.
Okay.
Gradient is the reason.
Yeah. My second question for you is, final question is, I noticed that you have on the gradient centrifugal force, that you have one of the design is like a disc shape, in where you're going to put a fluid to run around and it's supposed to produce a force. Now, I'm wondering about that one because in 2003, I made a mistake to apply for a patent in a similar device, which is now the patent application is public information. And I made the mistake in which I apply for the patent first, then I did the experiment and I got zero thrust. So now I'm wondering, you must know something. I don't know if you think that one would work. Can you tell me about that? What do you think that one would work? It's like a disc shape that you have there on the gradient centrifugal force that you were explaining in one of your earlier slide. And that one would work. But for me, it did not work. But you must know something I don't know. Can you tell me why that one would work? What is the explanation of that theory behind it?
Excuse me, Tim, please help. What is the question about?
Okay,
Here,
the question is centrifugal gradient, centrifugal force that you were explaining. One of the slides, it has a device which is like a D. You put a fluid inside, you rotate the fluid around it, and it produces centrifugal force, and that will produce thrust. And I wonder, what is the theory behind it? Because when I did my experiment, it did not work.
It was
for
about,
me.
yes, I remember. It was about the first slide with a simple circulating airflow and wing. Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
the fluid flow, yes.
Yes, there is no necessary to use understanding of ether, understanding of gravity. It is just one of interesting technology to get propulsion force without reactive jet. But you asked about theory for it. I have not.
So,
theory.
did you do that experiment?
I made experiments with a wing only. With Magnus rotating cylinder, I did not make experiments. But with a wing, you can reproduce it in a few days. It's very simple. Just use some fan, tube, and a wing with springs. So you will get propulsion axial force. Then you can visit some Aerospace corporation and ask investments. If you remember that inventor of what is in English, boat on water, but it fly in several and small distance over land, over water by means of airflow. He got investments after he demonstrated how fan, it is a fan of his wife, how fan can stand on the table. He used fan, connected fan with some cylinder, and it can hold itself on the table because it was invented with simple experimental device, demonstrated to investor, and then he got investment from Ministry of Defense. So if you organized experiments with my idea on the slide, where is it circulating flow and the wing, I hope you will get investments from some corporation because it's simple, it works.
Well,
but I have
you.
no theory for it. I have no theory for it.
All right. Thank you for the explanation. Great presentation, by the way. Keep on at it.
thank you,
I
Harold.
hope you can read. I hope you can read my book in English also.
Oh, I will.
I submit the book on the website, and you can download it for free.
All right, I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold.
No problem.
Okay, let me go to Mark next. Mark, sir.
Yes, Frolov, thank you very much for that presentation. It's great.
Hello, Mark.
Heard a lot about your the hat design and stuff, and we've seen mixed results on that. My question is about the Grebennikov device that you touched on shortly. We actually have the Beetle wings here, and I'm wondering like what needs to be done to make that work. If you have any theory.
The Victor Grebennikov. Maybe you could show them. Can you pull the wings out and show them what you have?
Yeah, let me go over to the lab.
Yeah, and again, just bear in mind that we're trying to overcome a language barrier today. So.
We should have had my girlfriend here help out with that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot.
She's dealing with the sick child. So these are actually these are beetle wings over here. And Jeremy showed us the other 2 weeks ago. They're intricate. The
Grebennikov.
Yes, I see. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a whole bunch of them and some sticky pads to stick them down to a plate. What are we doing with these? What is supposed to work? How does it fly?
I don't know because
Oh, there's an honest answer.
I am not entomologist. I am not entomologist, and the anti-gravity with this wings. What is it in English? It is wings. Part,
Beetle,
yes,
yeah.
part of wings of some bugs. I have not comments, but I don't recommend you to use it. In video, in internet, you can find video that it will works if you provide high voltage electricity for them. If you
Okay.
provide high voltage,
How high?
it will be electrically charged because it is electrodes. But please remember, you have to use very dry to dry it, to remove humidity at first. To remove humidity at first, then to provide high voltage, it will be electrostatically charged. And after this one, you can get some effects, propulsion force effects, but it will not be anti-gravity, I think, because Viktor Grebennikov discovered effects. He's discovered effects with wings, with insect part of wings of the insects, but his flying platform was built mainly from paper.
He was using paper for his platform?
Grebennikov wrote about his device. It is made mainly from paper.
Or like cardboard?
So it was not elements of wings, insects was not used in this device.
Okay, okay. From all of the experiments that you brought up today, what do you think is the most likely to succeed?
Really, I am not related with this technology. I am not going to try for this because it's dangerous for health. I worked with Professor Zolotaryov. Zolotaryov in St. Petersburg was official professor of science, Russian Academy of Science. And Zolotaryov was connected with Grebennikov, and this team tried to get patent and discovery, official discovery in Russia. But the name of this discovery was not anti-gravity. The name of this discovery was about medical application of cavity effect. It was used mainly for medical application. And I am not going to develop anti-gravity by this way. If you will change parameters of space-time, you will see invisible objects. So you create some kind of bubble in the space. Understand?
We're working on that.
For example, standard space-time, our space-time is uniform. It is main property, the light of beam is distributing by line. Photon, for example, it is one direction line. But when you change it, you will see changed on trajectory of the laser beam, for example. It's a simple experiment, and we planned these experiments with Professor Zolotaryov. It was experiment in St. Petersburg. It's very simple. You have a laser, you have a beam, for example, several, maybe 10 meters. It's 10 meters is okay. And in the beginning of the trajectory, you can put not to cross the cavity structures, but not far from the laser beam. You can put cavity structures, the honeycomb, for example.
We actually have a laser interferometer over here, for running these different types of experiments. And it's with a plastic table so that we can put high voltage next to it without getting shorted out. Also later, Mike Gamble is going to be talking about the inertial propulsion device that we're working on as well, the gyroscopes and all that.
So we stopped to discuss cavity effects and anti-gravitation by Grebennikov, and now you try to discuss inertial.
We're
Positive, yeah.
working on everything here. And then
Mhm.
the warp drive is over. Actually,
What is your laboratory? It is some university of your private home.
this is
It is
in a
your-
lab. This is in Hawthorne, New Jersey.
Excuse me?
We're in
Laboratory.
Hawthorne, New Jersey. This is Falcon Space.
Mm.
Yeah, he's built that himself, the lab that, so it's not at a university, it's private, it's privately built,
Mhm.
so.
It is laboratory of some private company.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
excuse me, but you need to think about the commercial aspect, but application of anti-gravity technology, commercial application, it's impossible. It is secret technology and it is not profitable to spend time and money for it. We can build some simple devices.
Profitable.
Okay,
Excuse me,
so,
but it is better to think about profit. Try to build some simple devices. For example, at the beginning of my report, I demonstrated simple experiments with rotating magnets, for example, in cross field electric and magnetic field, provide
Yeah, I built
propulsion
that.
force by
We
pond
tested
motor
it.
effect.
We
When you
tested it last week.
demonstrated, excuse me, when you will demonstrate some flying small devices with rotating magnets and electric high voltage, you will get great financial support.
We tried that last week, but the motor burnt out. So I got to replace the motor on that. Also, you talked about the checker cove device. This one wasn't built by me. This was built by Chris Hardiman, who passed away. He saw like 80 grams of weight loss on it. High voltage with spinning magnets.
Mhm.
And then there's
So,
an RF.
what's the results for this device? What is the result?
He got 80 grams of weight loss using this scale, which is a little suspect because it's a mechanical scale that goes up to 5 kilos. So 80 grams would have been, just 2 little lines over here, and the whole thing was shaking because of all the spinning components and all that.
Excuse me, what is a high voltage? What is the level of voltage? 10 kilowatts, 50?
I think it was around 20,000.
Oh. Okay.
okay,
It is
so,
better to try it for 50 kilowatt, man.
50
kilovolt is okay.
50 kilovolts won't, there's not enough airspace for 50 kilovolts in this setup. It'll start arcing.
Oh.
Well, we could put 50 kilovolts into it. You'll just see lots of sparks. Is the point to have a breakdown, or do you want, the maximum stress?
Yes, I understand. Thank you very much for your questions. I cannot help you with anti-gravity by Grebennikov. Please, let's start with simple experiment. Do you remember? Grebennikov take two bangles of two elements and try to get forces, to detect forces by hands.
2 pieces of what?
Bangles. What's the name?
Magnets?
Bundles of stamps.
Oh, bundles of stamps?
Yeah, because it is very simple, and cavity effects you can get from simple bundles of stamps in your hands. You don't remember, I think, the slide.
I think he's talking about bundles of grass stems.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, grass stems. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard this one before. Wayne, are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I think I know what he's saying. Like if you take a bunch of grass stems and then you bundle them together, it's kind of like how I was playing around with the mushroom, like it has all those cavities in it. And I thought I was seeing a differential in weight as I was measuring both sides of it.
I thought if you take like bundles of grass,
Yeah.
Really, it is
Yeah,
very, very weak effect.
you bundle the grass stems together, and then you take another one, and then he's saying that there's a bit of a repulsive force between the two different bunches of grass stems, if that's correct.
But I have to note that size of elements in cavity structure is very significant. When you will play with a small size, for example, 0.1 millimeters, you will get effects. When your diameter of the tubes is about 100 nanometers, for example, you demonstrated wings of some bugs. Yeah, it was elements of some insect. Take a microscope and look on other side. One side is a metallic side, and look at other side by microscope and try to understand what is size of nanostructure. You will see some nanostructure, nano elements on the back side of this
Beetle wings. Yeah, we saw those
because
2 weeks ago.
it works for very small size, very good effect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so let me see. We've got just about 7 minutes left before Bob comes on. Bob may already be with us. I'm not sure if he is. I do not see him though in chat. So let's go to, let me see if we have any other questions.
William has some question.
We had some discussion about intellectual property stuff. Let me see. And I think William Schramm. William, did you have a question about, oh, there you are. Oh, and your hand's
Hi,
up.
yes.
Wow.
I just wanted to follow up on the last question. You mentioned that there were adverse effects of manipulating space-time. So my question is, even if you have anecdotal evidence, is it causing people shorter lifetimes? Are they experiencing, I don't know, paranoia? But why would you stay away from space-time manipulation?
Excuse me, Tim, please help. Tim.
He's wondering if there are negative effects from changing space-time.
Negative effects.
Yeah, like it hurts people, makes people sick.
Because yes, I understand. Because I had my personal experience in this. I started first experiments 30 years ago, and I feel the negative for myself. Also, it was reported by other scientists. Grebennikov also wrote in his book about negative effects. It should be science, but it is medical science. When we change in some area the density of ether can be increased or decreased, and it is positive or negative influence to health. For some case, we can get a positive influence. For example, regeneration. For example, for me, I am about 60 years old, but I feel good. And in my understanding, some of my experiments provide positive medical effects for me. So negative effects of space-time change also can be other side of this. We can get also positive medical effects. For example, in 1992, about 30 years ago, I had publication in Scientific Medical Network of Scotland in Edinburgh. And they considered my publications about resonances, about DNA molecular, and I have got a degree of medical doctor for this publication. It was 30 years ago. But so, conclusion, answer for your question. Changes of space-time can provide also positive effects, not only negative. But we have to understand how it must be provided. What is the extent? What is the degree of changes? So it is medical. In my book, you will read. I hope you can read description of interesting experiments, not electromagnetic. There is electromagnetic methods, and there are many non-electromagnetic methods to change density of ether. For example, Kozyrev. Nikolai Kozyrev is famous name. It is Russian scientist. And Nikolai Kozyrev wrote a book about 20 years ago. And he made experiments to get a wave of density of time. And the experiments he made were not electromagnetic. For example, one experiment, when you have a solid state, for example, ice, and ice heating, it will be changed to water. This process provides a wave of density of ether because in solid state, one amount of ether connected with matter. In liquid state, another amount of ether is connected with the same matter. And when we change the state of matter from solid state to liquid, the ether wave is generated. The other process is crystallization. For example, we can take water and freeze it to get ice. So amount of ether will be absorbed or radiated from this process. So please read the book because I have a limited verbal facility. In the book, you will get more information about this. But conclusion, okay, we can get positive effects from change of space-time.
Okay, thank you. I guess I was just interested because I think we're all interested in maybe the astronaut application or the aircraft application, and if it kills you to fly in this thing, that's undesirable.
Yeah.
I see many questions in chat.
Yeah, Remy Cornwall was asking about Hawking or Unruh radiation, and then we have some discussions there, but those aren't questions. Alex, I think that we are just about out of time for today. So on that note, let me wrap things up. Let me do this. Let me put this back on gallery view, and everyone, please give Alex Frolov another giant hand for today's presentation. Alex, thank you so much.
Let me go to sleep, please, because
it is very late your time. Yes, it is very late your time. Okay.
It was great experience for me. Thank you for lesson of English.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for presenting.